Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about Death Stranding once again, but I want to focus on two talking points. The first has to do with how well the game is currently selling. Is it off to a good start, a bad start? We're going to go over that based off of the information we currently have. But something else I also want to take a few minutes to talk about is kind of a response to yesterday's video, or just something I wanted to highlight because it's kind of surprising in a way. And it was something that I wasn't really expecting, and I'm seeing a lot, and I mean a lot, of people saying this about Death Stranding, and I haven't really seen any reviewers mentioning it, and so it's just really interesting to me. It's something I just want to kind of take some time to talk about. I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what it is I'm talking about here or hinting at, but starting with the sales data and how well or not well Death Stranding is selling. Well, apparently, according to the UK charts, it is off to a strong start. It says that in the UK, Death Stranding is the second biggest PS4 launch of 2019, and we do have to pay attention that this is just counting physical copies. I don't think this is counting digital. It says that PlayStation's Death Stranding debuts at number 2 in the UK boxed charts. So yeah, it's just for physical. Says it's the second biggest exclusive and the second biggest new IP released this year, behind another PS4 exclusive, Days Gone, which was released in April. Compared to that, Hideo Kojima's new title sold 36% fewer units at launch. It's the first new game from Kojima since the release of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which arrived in September 2015 and was the most successful Metal Gear Solid launch to date, and it means that Call of Duty Modern Warfare retains the number 1 spot for a third consecutive week. Well, I don't think anybody was anticipating that Death Stranding would end up beating out Call of Duty Modern Warfare even in its third week. No way that was going to happen, so it is nice to see it actually taking that number 2 spot. If it would have beaten Call of Duty, that would have just been insane, but that wasn't going to happen. But what's really interesting here, there's a few things. The first thing is how it is the second biggest PS4 launch of 2019, which is a really good sign. And it's also interesting that it's tracking kind of just behind Days Gone. It's down by 36%, but I think that's to be expected, right? Because you have to kind of think about the two games here and the differences between them. There's no doubt that Days Gone, and the sales data does back this up, has a much wider, broader appeal to the general market than a game like Death Stranding does. I believe Days Gone is currently the 6th best-selling PS4 exclusive this generation, which just goes to show, how well it sold in general, but, especially considering it just released in April. But you also have to think that there probably is some crossover for sure here between games like Days Gone and Death Stranding, but there's no doubt that Death Stranding is just not going to be as appealing, especially, when people look at the gameplay itself. It's just not going to be as appealing as a post-apocalyptic biker game where you're taking on zombie-like creatures. There's just no way. And so to see Death Stranding kind of holding its own here, I'm really happy. And it also kind of feeds into how Sony, in my opinion, has had a very, very good year. PlayStation has had a very good year between Days Gone and Death Stranding. Regardless of what anybody wants to say, two new AAA IPs, and both of them, in my opinion, I've enjoyed. I've really enjoyed my time with Days Gone. I got the platinum in that game, and I just, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really excited for a potential sequel with the PlayStation 5. And I am thoroughly enjoying Days Gone, or Death Stranding. I keep getting the two confused, but I'm thoroughly enjoying Death Stranding right now, and I have a strong feeling that I'm gonna actually end up liking Death Stranding, believe it or not, more than I liked Days Gone. Not to say that that's not a knock on Days Gone. It just really means that that's just how good Death Stranding is so far to me. So I hope it continues to sell well. It's going to be interesting to see, first of all, if Sony says anything about this. One thing I do want to mention is that Sony, for as well as Days Gone has sold, I don't believe has said anything specifically about numbers. One thing we also do know that has been confirmed about Death Stranding sales so far is it's not hitting the same numbers that we saw with God of War or Spider-Man last year, which honestly, I don't think anybody was realistically expecting that. We know that God of War broke PlayStation's record for the fastest selling, PS4 exclusive, and then Spider-Man, with just a couple months later, ended up breaking that exact same record that God of War broke. I don't think anybody was expecting Death Stranding or Days Gone to be breaking records, but they are certainly holding their own and doing well and proving that, again, single-player gaming is alive and well, and these games continue to sell well, and I'm really happy for that. I hope it continues. We're going to see how well Death Stranding continues to sell, or if it's kind of going to just slow down going forward. But moving on from that, what I wanted to focus on here was the conversation regarding my video yesterday, where I talked about my honest thoughts on Death Stranding and what I've played of it so far. And the thing that it kind of makes me laugh, because it's not something you would expect, but I swear it's the thing I'm seeing more than anything else, is people telling me how addicting the gameplay of Death Stranding is, which is it's so funny, because a lot of people have been trying to make it seem like Death Stranding's gameplay is so boring, and it's so tedious and uninspired and all this stuff. People just making it sound like it is the opposite of addicting. And I'm telling you, go check the comments from my video yesterday. The amount of people saying the game is addicting, this gameplay loop is addictive, is insane. And I'm really happy for this, because this conversation could actually kind of feed into sales talk a little bit here, because one of the things that can help a game sell well after it launches, or sometime after it launches, is word of mouth, and people finally getting their hands on it and experiencing it for themselves. And something else I think a lot of us have agreed on with Death Stranding is that it truly is the type of game you need to get into your hands. You need to experience it for yourself. You need to try it out for yourself, because if you are somebody where this gameplay loop is going to click with you and it is going to resonate with you, you're definitely not going to know it until you play it, because watching it will not do it justice. You have to get the first-hand experience. And maybe because of this, there's going to be more and more positive talk behind it, because I'll tell you, ever since this game did launch, there was a lot of positive reception and a lot of positive talk after the review embargo lifted, obviously, but there was a lot of negative as well. But ever since the game officially launched on November 8th and the public could get their hands on it, I swear the amount of positivity I've seen just skyrocketed with this game. And it seems that a lot of people are pretty much out here confirming, yeah, this game, you got to play it yourself, because it's a fantastic experience. The gameplay is fantastic once you actually experience it for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's enjoying it, right? And that's fine. Not everybody needs to enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just so funny to me. It's kind of ironic, right? It's ironic to me. I remember the response to people telling me what their gameplay experience was like with Days Gone. And it's funny, because addicting, that wasn't a word that was really used too often. I mean, fun, exciting, especially with the freaker hordes and whatnot, but addicting was not a word that was thrown around too much. In fact, there's not a lot of games that have released this year where I've seen a lot of people throwing around the word addicting. I'm addicted to the gameplay loop, and they find the gameplay addicting. And it's just, the irony with me lies in the fact that we have a game here that, so many people are trying to tell you is the most boring game ever made. And it's not just my comment section either. I really want to highlight that as well. It's not just my comment section. I've been seeing it on pretty much anywhere people are talking about Death Stranding. This is a common thread and a common theme I've been seeing that goes through, is people coming out here saying that it's addicting to play. The gameplay loop is very satisfying, very addicting, and very rewarding. And so, yeah, I'm sure most of you see the irony where I see it, where for a game that's supposed to be so boring, for a game that is supposed to be such a slog and such a drag, there sure are a lot of gamers who purchase this game with their own money and are saying, this game is great and I can't stop playing it, and I'm finding that I'm addicted to the actual gameplay loop. So maybe this will actually be a really good thing in the long run once the word of mouth starts to spread a little bit. Maybe this means the game's going to end up selling a little bit better over the long term than maybe anybody anticipated. But overall, I'm just very happy about this. I'm enjoying Death Stranding, and I appreciate the support you guys showed me in yesterday's video. It really means a lot. If there's one thing I love doing, is actually talking about my experience playing certain games. And I know that on this channel we kind of stick to mostly PlayStation and their games and their bigger games. Maybe going forward I can kind of branch out and start talking about some other games. I was thinking about maybe talking about Jedi, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That is a game I'm pretty excited for. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to play it, because I'm currently into Death Stranding, but yeah, I just want to express to you guys how grateful I am for the support, and it makes me really happy, like genuinely, to hear what you guys have to say and see how many people are giving this game a chance. And I say this as somebody who played a lot of Hideo Kojima's games in the past, the Metal Gear Solid series, and I really enjoyed it, and I've always felt that there was something special there, and I've always understood that, like, when people, they get excited about Hideo Kojima's games, I've always understood that. I know there's people who think he's overrated, but it just makes me feel really good to see that people are giving it a chance, and they're actually thoroughly enjoying it, and it makes me feel even better to see that it's off to a pretty solid sales start. It's going to be, like I said, interesting to see if Sony has anything to say about it, but we are going to have to wait on that. So at this point, I'm going to ask you guys to leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think about Death Stranding's sales so far? Are you surprised to hear that it's slightly behind Days Gone, or are you just happy to see that it's actually on pace with Days Gone? Because again, Days Gone is the 6th best-selling PS4 exclusive this gen. Personally, I think that's a pretty good start, but you let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you can see the irony here in what I'm talking about, how there's so many people out here saying this gameplay is addictive, but yet there's so many people trying to convince us that it's the most boring game ever made. Going to be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it or found it informative at all. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.